Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Cassandra Duffill. Thank you for joining me today on this episode. Today's episode is entitled The Marketing Strategies That Practitioners Have Forgotten. Or the working title I had was Why Old School Marketing Seems to Be Working Again. If you have spent any time online, you probably think that the only way to get clients is through reels, algorithms, AI, and constant content creation. I know that that's what we're being shown, but we're being sold a lie. That's not the truth right now, because this is what I've actually been noticing. Some of the most effective marketing strategies right now are the same ones that might have been working a decade or more ago. They're not flashy, they're not trendy, might take a little bit more effort for some people, but they work. They work. What I'm seeing more of online right now is a lot of people out there telling you how to go about getting clients in your business. And it seems to be focused on owning the Instagram algorithm, doing more reels with flashy transitions. I've seen a lot of people trying to teach visibility online is the answer. Visibility online is never going to be the answer when you don't have a big following. Visibility online only works if you have a decent amount of followers. And I think you can see at the moment there's a trend where people are moving away from social media because it does not work. Even big brands, if you look at brands like, I think it's the Body Shop, go onto their Facebook page, there's a sign, they have a banner saying, "We don't come here. Our people aren't here. We don't come here. Don't come looking for content. We don't post here." There's a number of big business that are taking that stance. So today we want to talk through what is going on, what's happened, and what do we do instead? Because some of the things we used to do just aren't working this year. I have a lot of notes here to go through with you. So what's happened is a number of different things. Times have changed. Times have changed. And it's changed from two fronts. We've got a situation where we all started to rely on social media because it was free. It gave us great access. In the early days, it really gave great results. You can't deny that. Just after Facebook first started groups, I started a group for an online business that I started an online website shop. And within 3 months, I had 10,000 followers, and the store was pumping purely because of the following that I managed to garner on Facebook. That is not the case anymore. You cannot do that anymore. You will see online people that might have had big community groups. People are closing their community groups down because they're just not getting traction. Now, it's not that people aren't interested in those groups anymore, but they're no longer showing groups to anybody. Do you see any of the groups that you're in really, unless you go hunting for them? And you've got to go hunting for the group you like. You've got to change your notifications to show me everything instead of just highlights. And then probably once a month you log back in and it's defaulted back to show me only highlights. So it's a constant battle. That doesn't work. Business pages don't work. They don't get traction like they used to. They used to come up in the beginning as readily as someone that you know. Now your page, your feed is full of sponsored posts, ads, half of which you probably don't even want. So that's why people are leaving social media marketing behind, and they're doing so in droves. Now, I have been teaching for the last 2 years a move away from relying on social media, actually more than 2 years, because we could see the writing on the wall back then. And I've always taught content first, organic traffic, and things that actually work, that don't rely on algorithms being nice to you. You know, the other thing to note too is a lot of big businesses have lost groups recently. Late last year, I think I saw Denise Duffill Thomas lost her group. She's been running that for over a decade, and I don't know how many people were in there. Was 100,000 people perhaps? She lost the group, woke up one day and it was gone. That is what happens on those platforms. In 2020, it happened to me as well. I woke up, it was actually Christmas morning, and went to post a Merry Christmas message to all of my relatives because my family's Scottish, and I couldn't access Facebook. And I had lost my account for not going or not abiding by community guidelines, when what I'd actually done the night before was posted a picture of my cat covered in tinsel and glitter because he'd been in the tree. And I'd posted the picture of the cat with something about his glittery backside. And I lost my account. Gone. So you see me now on Facebook, etc., but my account's a different name because I had to start over. And this is why I've always taught other means of building your business from in marketing sense, because there's no point relying on something you can't control. So let's get into a few of the points I want to cover. The other point is in relation to what's changed there. The other side of that coin is what's changed with people, the population, the economy. This year's very, very different. And we can see that people need more trust, and that's been growing for a long time. They need more trust in people before they work with them. We've seen that coming. For a long time, there was a stat that didn't change for a number of years showing that people needed about 7 touch points before they took the leap to spend money with someone. Over the last probably 4 years, 5 years, that's been lengthening. And at the end of 2024, the stats were saying that it was getting to something like 30 touch points before people were willing to come and work with us. That is excessive, isn't it? Absolutely excessive. The reason that happened, though, is there were so many scam artists online, and not just scammers, people just making false promises, particularly in our realm. We're talking about, health products, maybe health programs, signature programs, memberships, even consultations. There's people out there making some big, lofty promises about results, and by and large, they don't follow through. So that has caused a great deal of trust erosion in the market, and that's something that we're up against. Then the third point, we can't fake that we're in an economy that's pretty tough right now for everybody. Cost of living has gone through the roof. I have always said that in our world as practitioners, natural health practitioners, I've always called us the disposable income bucket, because by and large, even if we're helping someone with something pretty important, if life gets tough, they allocate money elsewhere. And that's just the truth of it. So we need to be aware of how people are positioning us in their financial priorities and make some changes accordingly. Now, that said, don't take that as all doom and gloom. I think you can build a good business in any economy. As you know, I opened my new clinic in May. Now, I am seeing I think there's some tougher times out there. I'm having some interesting conversations with people calling to inquire about the clinic. I have seen some of the new patients coming through, probably being a bit more budget conscious than I'm used to with my clients. However, what I can say is there's still plenty of people out there who need our help, and I am seeing that in the clinic. So when did I open? May 11th, I opened. I was only open for 2 weeks, and then I had a flood in the clinic and had to close it down and rip up all the floors and start again. So really, even though I've been open for 2 months, I've actually only been open for probably about 4 weeks. Am I at a full client load? No, no. Looking at my numbers, I think I'll probably start to hit a decent capacity in probably towards mid to late August. But that said, I've only been open a month, and the clinic still turned over more than the rent. So in my world, I'm happy with that, because, that's not coming out of my pocket. The clinic's paying for itself, and it's paying for the stock already without having full books. So I wanted to just make that really clear that it's not doom and gloom. There's plenty of clients out there. We've just got to market you the right way so they come and see you. One thing I do want to add just at that point is people are taking marketing very literally. And that might sound like a funny thing to say, but something I noticed. As you know, in my old practice, I really focused a lot on complex and chronic health. It just is what happened. People found me, and I worked a lot with mold, MCAS, Lyme disease, really bad chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, things like that. And that's just where I ended up working. So when I rebuilt the website coming into this new practice, I wrote a fair bit about that just because it was very top of mind. I had some of my old clients call me in the last couple of weeks saying, Cass, I was going to book in with you, but I looked at your website and it doesn't look like you do much in the way of general health stuff anymore. And I thought, ooh, that's really, really interesting. What that tells us is people are investigating, and people are assessing options to try and make sure that they're spending the money they have in the right place. So I've been doing some work on broadening my message a little bit, and I actually do have what I call the Return to Care campaign happening at the moment to reactivate old clients, and that's going really well. So I found that really interesting. People take your messaging very, very literally, so let's make sure we're saying the right thing. Okay, so looking at my notes here that I wanted to go through, the first thing I want to talk about is relationships. Relationships still win, because in this market where we have potentially less money to spend and we have to be more careful where we spend it, we have to trust the person we're working with. And we need to trust people who are telling us about that person. We would be much better placed to be utilizing things like referrals and relationships right now. Isn't it true that you could have a great website? Could be a fantastic website with all of this great content on there. And someone might be thinking about coming to you, but then if their best friend says, "Hey, I see Mary Jane down at Byron Bay and she's fantastic. You should go and see her." Then that person's probably going to hop in their car and drive down to Byron Bay. Well, for me, it's Gold Coast, so Byron Bay is probably, an hour or so. But my point is, people will go that extra mile to work with someone who's been recommended. So this is the time to boots on the ground, pound the pavement a little bit. Look at ways you can build some referring relationships. And I've actually had a number of phone calls this week from other practitioners in lots of different fields. Postnatal person, there was another doula, there was another naturopath who works with different clients to me. I had a lovely chap come in who is from a local psychology firm, and they've got a really thriving practice. And he came in to have a chat to me to see if we could work together and cross refer. And we've got a lot of really aligned patients, so that will work really well. Interesting that people are out doing this work. So don't be afraid of it. Okay, I know it can be a bit confronting, but don't be afraid of it. Head on out there, meet some people, make some phone calls, send some letters, knock on some doors. Whatever you need to do. Community trust is also really big. So is there some way you can get out in the community and get known in the community? Can you sponsor a local event? Can you have a stand at the local school fete? There's lots of ways to get known. What you need to do in this market is become the go-to name in your community. That is going to sustain your practice really, really well right now. So I want to point out here that I think referrals are really underrated. Many, many practitioners say, "Oh yeah, I get referrals." Very, very few practitioners actually nurture getting referrals, and even less give referrals in return. What I mean by that is, in the years that I did my practice, the amount of time that I referred people on, I can't even count. I was very clear about who I worked with, who I didn't. And if that person wasn't aligned with me, I would refer them on. And there's two practices in particular that I sent lots and lots of people to. And in the decade I ran the practice here, I did not get one referral back. And to be frank, now I think on it, I didn't even get a thank you phone call from either of them. But they're good at what they do. I was happy to refer. But can we nurture these relationships? How can we thank our referrals? How can we stay visible? What if you just, like the guy did, came in and met me, and now we're going to meet up every couple of months for a coffee and a chat and just see how business is going and how we can help each other and work together? It's such an easy thing to do. Doctors' practices. I know that a lot of people try and get in there. I was never very proactive about that because it just didn't bother me too much. I ended up getting relationships with a couple of doctors over the time that I worked, and that was fine. But if you do want to go into doctors' practices, it can be a great idea to take something. Food works really well with a doctor's practice. Take a plate of biscuits, muffins, get them a tray of, little cupcakes from the bakery and drop that in with your information. Much more traction that way. And I do know a number of practitioners do lunch with local doctors' surgeries, which is a great idea. They pop in, have lunch, and talk about different things. So that might be an option. For me, though, doctors' surgeries was never completely aligned with me, and the doctors I worked with were a bit more alternative. But how can you make referrals easy? How can you thank your referrers? Maybe even a page on your website that talks about referrers. And you could point to some people you refer to. You could have a form there saying, "I'd love to add you to my referral network. If we're aligned, fill out this form." There's lots of different things. So having a really good referral strategy is a great way to build your business in this market. I know a lot of people are going to say, "Cass, that sounds hard." Look, it's work. It's boots on the ground work. But let's be frank, these businesses, your business, deserves some work. I don't know any other industry where people think they can start a business, sit behind a computer screen, do nothing except post on Facebook or Instagram occasionally and expect to build a business. No other industry does that. If you want to start a retail store, You put money on the table, you get a lease, you buy stock, you put it out there, and you go for it. We have a strange mindset in this industry where we feel like it should take very little to get success. So something like referral networks and referral campaigns, yes, it might take you some work. Yes, you might have to buy some flyers. So be it. Go get it done, because it's only by doing that you'll see whether it works. Now, that's a longer term strategy. Okay. And longer term strategies are actually more sustainable in your business. So we love those. Don't expect that if you spend $100 on flyers that you'll get 10 clients out of it. The first time you do it, it may result in nothing. I always remember the old Tupperware rule. Anyone that was ever involved with Tupperware, I wasn't a Tupperware lady, but I had a lot of friends who were. And they used to teach them, and I think Amway did too, 3 times. Meet someone 3 times before you ask them to have a party for you, because they're going to say no. On the 3rd time, they feel like they know you, and they literally were teaching that they feel like they know you and they don't feel like they can say no. Gross way to go about it, but the interesting thing is that's the truth. The more people see you, the more they start to build that rapport. So it might take you 3 goes of dropping flyers, letting people know what you're about before something starts to come of it. And that's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. The next observation I want to make regarding marketing is SEO is still the best investment, or one of the best investments you can make right now. I have always said to you, content is king. Drive organic traffic, use your SEO. And that is exactly the same right now. So think about the content on your website. Think about your blogs. Think about evergreen content. Think about how you're getting traffic to your website. A lot of practitioners will say to me, gee, I'm not getting many bookings through my website. Then when we go and look at their website traffic, it's very, very minimal. Okay, so statistic-wise, it's different in lots of different industries, but as a benchmark, they're saying at the moment, a conversion rate of 1 to 2% is pretty good in a service-based industry. E-com is very different, so don't look at statistics for that. They're very different to us. However, if you're only getting 1 or 2% of nothing, it's nothing, isn't it? So we need to be driving traffic. Think about what people are searching for. I'm up at 2 a.m. because I have hot flushes and I can't sleep, and I'm Googling, what's the natural way to get rid of my hot flushes fast? I'm sitting at the computer in the afternoon, exhausted, wishing I could get up and go for a walk, but I can't because I'm so fatigued. And I'm on my phone and I'm Googling, why am I so fatigued at 3 p.m. every afternoon? Those are things that are going to drive people to your blogs, to your content, to your website. It's a great time to add conditions pages to your website if you don't already have them. Page on the gut health you work with, or the hormones, or whatever it is that you specialize in, put that on there. Now, a lot of people push back with this at the moment, saying, but Cass, what about AI? Anytime you Google anything, the first thing you get up is AI. And yeah, it's true. That is true, but it's not going to last. Remember how great Facebook was in the beginning? Paint AI with the same brush. I can tell you for a fact, and I've had this conversation with so many people recently, people that are very experienced with tech, people who are working in AI development and in what they call deep learning models. The bubble is bursting. And I'm going to say it here, it's my prediction, the bubble is bursting. AI right now is so wrong so often that people are starting to not trust it. So it's not going to be much longer that people are going to take that, as gospel. They might read it and then they're going to look further. They're going to research more themselves. There are ways you can work on coming up in those AI searches, and things like adding FAQs to your website works really well. But again, it comes back to content. AI is reading your website just like the Google bots, just like the search engines, no different. So that's what we need to be doing there. And honestly, wouldn't it be better to write one really good blog or article that drives traffic to your business for the next 3 years than one reel that took you 6 hours to make, got 3 likes, one was your mum, and lasted 12 hours and then disappeared from people's feeds? Like, it's pointless. So consider what gives you the most bang for your buck. And on there, let me just caveat that and say, please be careful what you're doing with AI. Don't let AI write your content for you. Really, really don't do that. You can use it for brainstorming. Absolutely, but I would never, ever, ever get it to write your content. And I know there's other mentors out there teaching how to do that. And great, it might feel quick, it might feel fast, it might feel like it's easy, but there's 1,000 other people getting blogs the same as yours right now. And so please be really careful with that. I did test this, and I might have mentioned it on a podcast episode the other week. I did test it with 3 different AIs. I had Claude open, I had Chat GPT, 4, Claude, Chat, Manifest AI, and Sintra. And I asked them all the same question, and it was related to blog type content. And I asked them to write a paragraph about whatever that topic was. I think it was gut. They all essentially gave me the same thing with the same dodgy cliches in it. And it was just same. And they're 4 different things. One's free, one's a low level paid for, one's a high level paid for that I had to buy lifetime access to, and the other one is a $70 a month thing. You would think you would get some sort of difference, wouldn't you? Some sort of better content from the more expensive ones? No, same rubbish. So do be aware of that. Be careful with that one. The 4th observation I want to make here with regards to old school marketing that actually works. Again, I don't ever think it stopped working. I just think we stopped doing it. So local visibility still matters, and it matters a lot. How can you be seen? Even if you're online, you live in an area, you need to get known. Okay, you need to get known. Can you be going to business networking? Can you be showing up at community groups? Can you be holding workshops, doing speaking events? Is there some sort of local partnership you can be developing? If you are online, can you partner with someone who has a space and you can do workshops? You can run a speaking event with them. There's lots of different ways to go about doing this. So just put on the creative hat and see what you can do. You can also hire spaces. You can hire a local hall for $40, $50 to be able to start to get that community feel going. Nothing works better to build your business than a community of people who are loyal to what you do, because those people, they're going to come to you. They're going to bring their husband, their wife, their children. Then they're going to tell their brother, their sister, their mother, their father. The 5th observation I want to make here is your existing clients. Your existing clients is an untapped resource. So often you see someone, you treat them, you help them, that's great. And then they go off into the abyss, and you see them for as long as they keep coming, and then they stop coming, and it's like you forget they even existed. Let's think about inactive clients, people you haven't seen for a while. It's very easy for us to think, oh, they stopped coming because they weren't getting results, because they didn't like me. We always think it's us. 9 times out of 10, it's not us. It's all sorts of other things that aren't us. So don't let that put you off trying to reactivate old clients. Do what I've done in my practice and create a reactivation marketing campaign. I sat there and thought, right, what can I do to reactivate these old clients? So I put together an offer that's just for them. It's a special consult at a different price. And, because they're my old clients, they deserve some value. They deserve something a little bit different, a little bit special. So they've got that. They've got a certain access within my portal to some different resources and things when they come back. And they've been receiving different emails to the general people on my list. So there's an email campaign, there's a marketing campaign, and there's an offer specifically just for them. What's really interesting is a couple of my clients that have come back, they didn't actually book the promotional return to care offer. They booked my $400 initial consult that includes live blood, includes iridology, and is a bit more detailed and complex. No questions asked, paid in full when they booked. What about reviews? Okay. Are we remembering to ask for reviews? And this is something I've always been really bad at, but it's something I've gotten better at over the years. But in the early years of my practice, I was so busy running like a duck underwater that it just wasn't something I found time to do. But please put in a process for yourself of getting reviews. It's so much easier now with the systems that we have in the automations. Very, very easy to set up an automated email that sends the day after you see someone going, so great to see you in clinic, or do an appointment with you online. If you have any questions, I wanted to remind you this is where you can reach me. And I would love it if you could spend 5 minutes to leave me a review on Google and give them the link. Send them there. Make it so easy. So I know 9 times out of 10, will people do it? Maybe not, but it really depends, so it doesn't hurt to ask. And no one's ever going to be as happy with you as they are after their first consult either. So a great time to send it is on the back of their initial. However, if it's something you haven't done for a while, there's nothing wrong with sending out an email saying, I'm working on my online presence and I realize that I haven't done a great job of getting reviews. Would you mind spending a minute and leaving me a little review? I'd really appreciate it. It's real, it's honest, and people really like to help. So try that. And then follow up. Think about follow up. If you do discovery calls with people that don't eventuate into a booking, what happens to that person's contact details? Where does it go? For most people, it's forgotten. You rang them, they didn't book, and it gets thrown in the bin or forgotten. Why are those people not being added to a list that can be contacted? Okay, why not do another follow up and maybe in 6 months call them again? Hey, I spoke to you 6 months ago and I want to let you know that I've got this new consultation in clinic. I've got this new equipment. I've just done some additional training in the area that we talked about that you need help with. Whatever it is, why not follow them up a little bit more? Research showed, and this research came out last year, that over the course of 7 weeks post a discovery call, up to 80% of people could be booked in. So when you're not following up those people, you could be missing out on 80% of your bookings. The next client that you could possibly have in the clinic is someone you've probably already spoken to. So there, I think we've covered quite a lot. And I know a lot of you are going to be thinking, oh, those feel hard. I'd rather just sit on my computer and make some things on Canva. I know that feels easier and it might feel more fun, but do you want to have fun behind a computer or do you want clients? Do you want revenue? Do you want a business that works? Sometimes you've just got to push yourself to do stuff that's a little bit out of your comfort zone, like go walk around and hand out some letters and get to know some people, because that's going to be what builds your business. And it's a matter of try and assess. Try and assess. Actually, I saw in one of our Pracky groups the other day, someone asked about flyers and letterbox drops, and everyone was poo-pooping on that going, oh no, they don't work. Oh, I tried it. I spent $100 on flyers and it didn't get me anywhere. I actually weighed in. I weighed in on that and I said, look, I'm going to be the voice of the opposite here because I don't think anything in marketing is a yes, it's good. No, it's bad. There's a spectrum. And for some people it works and some people it doesn't. And until you've done it yourself and have some data to assess with next time, you won't know whether it works or whether it doesn't. Case in point is what I shared in the group, that with my old clinic location, I did a letterbox drop. We did 1,000 of them, and we were in an area where it really suited a letterbox drop. The clinic was at the front of this suburb. It was a suburb, when they build a new suburb and it's very contained. There was one road in, one road out. Everyone came past the little shopping complex where the clinic was, and there was very contained 1,000 odd houses in that little section. So 1,000 went out. They were high quality, they were DL size, they were postcard stock, they were full color pictures, they were glossy on each side, and they had an offer that they had to bring it back to redeem. And across the course of 12 months, I got 40% of those back. One side had an offer that went with a new initial consult, and the other side had an offer for acute dispensing. So across that year, we got about 40% of those back. That's 400 people that it drove into the clinic that may not have come to me had we not put that out there. These things can work. They're not a huge outlay. And when you've got some data, you can move forward. Now, you might do a letterbox drop and see nothing from it. And that's absolutely fine because you might need time. People might need time to get to know you. And then the next time you put one out, say another 3 months, you do one again. And they're like, oh, that's so-and-so again. You're building some remembrance. Hey, they're starting to remember you. You're building some credibility. You're building some trust. They're getting to know you. Okay. So don't discard anything in this market. Consider it in relation to your own business and your own clients and your own goals for revenue to see whether it will work or not. Then once you've done it, keep some data. What did it cost? How many did you put out? How many did you get back? What was the conversion rate? How many people opened the email? How many people redeemed the offer? That's data that you can use to inform the rest of your marketing moving forward. So a few action points I want to leave you with as I wrap up. My first one is a question. Who could you reconnect with this month that could help you build your business? Now, this could be business contacts and networking. It could be referrers. okay, who can refer to you. It could be past clients. So, who could you potentially reconnect with this month that could help build your business? My second question is, what content could you create right now this week that could help you gain traction in your business for years to come? What could that content look like? Now, for most of you, it's going to be some real foundational pillar stuff in terms of what you believe, why you do what you do, how you help, the results you get, and whether that's articles, blogs, emails, maybe it's an ebook. Who knows? But what could you create that's going to give you some longer term traction than a story or a reel that's disappeared tomorrow? Okay. And I have a third question. I want to ask you this. Have you made it easy for people to A, know you exist, and B, refer to you? Have you done that? If you have not, have a think about that. How can you make it easy for people to refer to you, and how can you actually get known? You've heard it before. No point being the best kept secret and hiding behind a computer screen. Get out there, get known, make some connections. Now, as we close up, I just want to leave you with a few reminders. I don't think marketing's become more complicated. I don't think it's become harder. I think we've become more distracted. And I think we've forgotten some of the old school marketing that actually works. Because trust still matters. Relationships still matter. And your reputation still matters. Those are things that will never go out of fashion and will never go out of marketing style. So how can we utilize those? So think about beyond social media, beyond anything that's online or on a screen, what else could you be doing right now to build your practice? All right, friends, thanks for joining me. It's great to have you here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Have a great week.